Peace. My name is Haven Bullets, and let me start this off and say this is not an attack on Tariq Nasheed, but I saw his show the other night with the ghetto names, quote unquote ghetto names, and the boy was cooning. I'm gonna explain how he was cooning, but do I believe he's a coon? No, but I have to touch on this. I wouldn't be official if I don't. Listen, for somebody who has done 4 hidden color documentaries, for him to not understand the history and how those names came to be. First of all, let me say this: they're not ghetto names, because nobody black. The people who made them are not ghetto, and nobody ever called them ghetto. It was white people calling them ghetto names to demonize them, and we all know white people can call anything black people do bad, and we're gonna have 50% of black people automatically calling it bad too. So anybody referring to them as ghetto names just shows me that you copy it and you following behind racist white society, because that's racist white society lingo for the names. But anyway, let me give you a brief history on the names. When black people came out of slavery, black people started changing their names, and they always started changing their names and changing it in ways to make it distinctively black, with ways that white people never named themselves. And they would take the names and reinvent them in ways. And white people didn't like that, but black people were doing that to show that they were independent, they were sovereign, and they were autonomous from white society. And that they wanted you to know, when you saw that name and heard that name, you were dealing with somebody who was black, and not only were they black, they were proud of being black, and they didn't want your white name, and they didn't want to try to snuggle up to white society. That's one. For somebody who has done 4 hidden colors about black people, and to not know that and to not respect that's weird and that's strange to me. But let's get on to this whole notion, because I didn't know if he really even touched on this. Somebody said he did, about, well, you shouldn't name your kids that because, well, they'll have a hard time getting a job. Which is not necessarily true, because a lot of black people keep saying that, but they don't understand it. But they're saying that because they have read headlines, and they have read and they have listened to commentary by white people saying, well, I'm not really racist. It's just that the name is quote unquote ghetto, and I don't want to hire nobody with that name. I have no problem hiring a black person with a quote unquote normal name, a regular name, and black people go for that okie doke. That's sending you on that wild goose chase. It has nothing to do with the name. It has everything to do with your black. I don't understand how people talk about white supremacy and not understand that these names have this issue is about blackness. It's not about no name. As you can see right now in the study that I'm showing on the screen, and about the screening process, it talks about how black people, and I'm gonna leave it up there so you can read it, how black people that are more qualified, put out a resume, are not getting called back than a white person who is less qualified. That has nothing to do with names. When you would not hire somebody because of their name, even though they're more qualified than somebody else, that shows right there that something deeper and something's wrong with you. And black people keep harping on that. Well, we shouldn't name our kids that then. If you actually read the whole entire study, you would know that it is purely racist. This whole thing about not hiring black people is purely racist. Like you can see on your screen, it says right here, white people who are less qualified will be hired over black people who are more qualified. But when they're dealing with black people only, they are choosing black people based on qualification and qualification alone, not about names. Which means what? Let's say Latoya, because some people say that's a ghetto name and that's a black name, but it's a nicer, more acceptable name. Somebody named Latoya versus somebody named Sharkeisha. If Sharkeisha has a better resume and better credentials than somebody named Latoya, Sharkeisha is getting the job. But if somebody named Latoya had better credentials than somebody named Ashley that they figured is white, Ashley is getting the job, which shows you, like it says right here, bottom line, race beats out credentials. So it's not about no name. White people got to stop playing that stupid ass game. Not about name. And second, some black people think, well, I'll just name my kids this and I'll and I'll trick them into hiring them, because when they see the name Ashley Johnson, they'll say, "Oh, that might be a white person, so let me give them a chance." But what they never talk to you about, and most people never talk about, is zip code discrimination, like you see on your screen, which is illegal. But what you see on your screen, zip code discrimination, where they, after they check the names, they check the zip code to see if it's a black area, and if it's a black area, they throw that resume in the garbage, just like they would if the name is quote unquote, if the name is black. So while we promoting this freaking wild goose chase that somehow we doing something wrong by naming our kids whatever we want to name them, and we are giving them a worse opportunity in life, instead of focusing on, hey, the white people not hiring them because they're black. Because if you turn to these same people who say that bullshit and you ask them, if everybody black stopped naming their kids that today, and we all had white names, or quote unquote white names, would that stop discrimination and stop discriminatory hiring practices? The answer is no. So why the fuck are you focusing on and harping on names? If we all know, if you change your name tomorrow, that would do little to no effect on your life and your ability to get a job. You'll still be black, because at the end of the day, you can name your kid Ashley Johnson, and you can live in a predominantly white neighborhood, but at the end of the day, she's gonna have to go on that interview, and they're gonna see she black, and they're not gonna hire her. And if they do hire her, she's still gonna have to face racism on the job. Just like you see right here. You're gonna have to take racism regardless. It's about racism. It's not about black people trying to do this and do that to try to be more cuddled up to white people and get a job and get an opportunity. It's not about none of that. It's about you dealing with the fact that there's racism and white people don't want to hire you. So if white people don't want to hire you need to be building your own job, not trying to come up with some way to trick white people long enough into thinking that your child is actually white, and then when they see them, they're like, well, the resume was so good, I wasn't going to hire you if I knew you were black off the top, but since you're here and you did such a good job on the interview, I'm going to hire you now. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. And let me touch on why that boy is cooning. He's cooning because if we could call RZA a coon for saying, well, it's not about race, it's about how black people are dressing, and black people call them a coon, saying it's not about how you dress, because they were killing black people when they were wearing suits. Then how is it not cooning when somebody says, well, it's not about race, it's about the name you're giving your kid. If you just gave your kid a different name, you wouldn't have to worry about that. When we all know black people, like I just showed you, will be discriminated against regardless, even if their name is not that or not. If they don't have a black name or not. So how is that cooning when RZA does it, and it's not cooning when Tariq does it? And another thing, we got too many black people worried about what white people say, and they always attacking people based off what white people say. And until white people get their stamp of approval, they're gonna attack it. It's the same thing with the names. If white people had never called those names ghetto names, nobody black would have called them ghetto names. The same way black people did. Well, you had half of black people going against rock and roll, jazz, and hip hop when it first came out, because white people was going against it. Soon as white people came and said, you know what, that is real music and we like it, now black people saying it's real music and they like it. The same thing with these hairstyles, because I got a whole series, the war on black hair, on my channel, about how black people are being discriminated against because of their hairstyle. Mind you, if a white person threw that same hairstyle in their head, nobody would be discriminating against them. Nobody would have a problem with it. But when black people wear black hairstyle, it's a problem. It's a problem. And that's coon shit. That's coon shit. When a white man say it's bad, it's bad. When a white man say it's good. That's coon shit. And another thing I'm touching on, because when he was reading the names, he only kept, quote unquote, kept reading girl names. And that's another thing. Why black, every time these niggas want to point out black dysfunction, 9 out of 10 examples are always a black woman or a black female. That shit got to come to an end. Because, quote unquote, Shaquille is a ghetto name. LeBron is a ghetto name. DeAndre is a ghetto name, but those are ghetto boy names. But nobody seems to have a problem with those names. Nobody ever seems to want to call those names out as bad, and you shouldn't name your kid that because they're not gonna have a good chance. But if somebody named their kid, their daughter, Shaniqua or Keisha, everybody, all these niggas is out here losing their damn mind. And it's the same thing with the hairstyles. Going back to the hairstyle, a black woman get braids in her hair a certain way and put some color to it. She ratchet, she a hood rat, she a thought, she this and that. A white girl come right behind her with the same hairstyle, the same colors in her hair, and she's chic, she's pretty, she's unique. That coon shit got to stop with these niggas, with y'all niggas doing that. That shit got to come to an end. It got to come to an end. And I gotta stop harping on these secondary contradictions. Now I knew I had more to say, and I had written it down, but I can't find my book right now, and I'm flowing from the heart. Cause this shit gotta come to an end, and I might have to make a part 2. Dealing with this, but I'm gonna end it right now because this video has gone on long enough. Brother Tariq, you're doing a good job, but you got to tighten up. It can't be white supremacy one moment and black people doing stuff, bringing problems on themselves the next. And on that note, family, I would like to say peace.